Hey everybody, it's Debbie O'Neill of Scrap Make Quick Designs in the Let's Learn Cricut Explore Facebook group, and I'm doing a review in the new Design Space 3 of what all is included up here underneath the Home button, where you're going to find some really cool things that you need to know how to get to in Design Space 3. So let's get started. So you have logged into Design Space 3 successfully, followed Lesson 1, got your plugin update. I gave you a general overview in Lesson 2 of this opening screen that you're looking at, so you get an idea for the new look and feel. And then up here in the left-hand corner, you see the word Home. Now, right now, it does say Beta. It says Beta because right now, Design Space 3 is in a public beta, so there's still going to be some tweaks and some things that'll be happening to Design Space 3 over the next several weeks. Now, you do still have access to Design Space 2, so don't freak out and for the next couple of weeks, but you can go ahead and start using Design Space 3 now. Isn't that cool? So you will see that it says beta up here. Don't worry about that. If you work in Design Space 3 and you save your projects, it will be in Design Space 3 for you. Okay, so don't worry because it says beta up here. Eventually that beta will be removed once Cricut's finished going through some more testing. Okay, so up here you have what they call the hamburger, which are those 3 dash lines. So let's open that. And you're going to find a few things here. Now, it does say Canvas here. When you go to Canvas, it takes you to your Canvas screen. So you can get to Design Space this way to start a new project. All right. Now, if we go back to Home, we're going to see these other features. So this is where you can go in and do your print and cut calibration. All right. So it will walk you through all the steps. I'm not going to go through that right now. We'll do that in a separate video, but this is how you get to calibrating for print and cut. You only have to do that if you're having trouble with your registration marks not scanning and you need to set up your new machine. So don't feel like you have to do it in Design Space 3 right now. It should work fine. But if you want to reset and recalibrate, that's where you're going to find this. Okay, so yes, I'm going to cancel it. All right, so I'm going to come back over here, and then you have manage custom materials. All right, so this is where you're going to find, you'll have to pick your Cricut device. I don't have mine turned on. I'll turn mine on real quick. So you'll pick your Cricut device. I have several Cricut machines, so you pick your Cricut device, and it's going to come up where your custom materials will be set, and it's taking a moment. Sorry about that. But it will pop up with your custom settings, okay? And this is where you can go in, you can do your editing and everything. It's all preset by Cricut, but if you need to make any tweaks, this is where you would do that, and I'll have that in a separate video for you. I'm not going to cover that right now. I'm just showing you where things are. Here is new machine setup. So if you are a brand new Cricut user, this is where you will go through your new machine setup. All right, I'm not going to click on that because I don't have a new machine, and it'll walk you through that process. And then there's something that says update firmware. Update firmware is only done if Cricut directs you to do update firmware. Update firmware is the hardware on your Cricut Explore machine. Okay, so you don't need to mess with that unless Cricut directly instructs us to do a firmware update, okay? Then you have your account details. This is your Cricut account. I'm not going to open it up because it has personal information of mine on there. It'll have, but this is how you access your Cricut information. So if you're looking for your history of what you've ordered at Cricut.com, or you want to know something about anything in your account, you need to update your credit card, all of that stuff can be found going to account details, okay? And then there is the link cartridges button, okay? This is where you're going to link your cartridges. So if you physically buy a cartridge, you would go over here to be able to link your cartridge, okay? And I'll cover that in a separate video later. I'm just letting you guys know what all's over here. And then you have Cricut Access. So if you hit Cricut Access, you're going to get a screen like this, and it's going to let you know what level of Cricut Access membership you have, if you have one, and it tells you when it's ending. And right here, I know it's a little hard to see on this screen, it says manage your subscription. So if you need to do anything with your Cricut Access subscription, you need to upgrade it, you need to find out, you know, when are you getting billed, your credit card, any of that stuff, that's what you would click to be able to update or manage your Cricut Access subscription account. Okay, so that's nice that that's right there for us. And then there's a settings. Now we're going to talk about settings, so I'm going to open up the settings screen. All right, this is new in Design Space for you to be able to access all this, and it gives you, there's a keyboard shortcut list here. Okay, I'll click on that, and it's going to give you shortcuts for doing different things in Design Space. So that's cool. We like that. Let me get out of that. And then you have, and all I did was I clicked this green keyboard shortcuts. Then you have Canvas Grid. Okay, so the Canvas Grid is your Cricut mat, your virtual mat. Okay, and you can have it in full grid mode, which is what I have here, which is, it's 1-inch squares with 1/4-inch marks. Okay, or you can do a partial grid, and I'll change it to partial grid, and partial grid only gives you the 1-inch squares. Okay, it doesn't give you the 1/4-inch marks on the actual square. And then you can also have no grid. So for those of you who like freeform and you don't want a grid, you would click grid. So this is where you're going to manage what your mat looks like. Before, we used to have that little square up in the left-hand corner where you could click and it would either turn your grid on or turn your grid off. But now you can manage your grid. So I'm going to put mine back on full grid mode. And then you can also switch it from inches to centimeters. So this is a big deal for those of you who are in other countries and you're struggling with getting it to measure right. You can now change your grid mat to centimeter. I'm going to leave mine on inches, so I'm going to put that back over here. But this is in setting is where you're going to change that. Okay, so we're going to go back over here, and we have settings. There's a legal notice here, so it's Cricut legal information is there if you want to read any of that. And then there is a little slideshow that is new features, and it lets you know, and that's nice. It says, thanks for joining our beta. Please follow along carefully to get overview of the exciting features in Design Space. So it kind of walks you through the look and feel and changes in Design Space and points out a few things for you. Okay, so if you ever want to go back and look at that, you can. And what else is over here underneath the home feature? You can switch to what country you're in here. So United States, Canada, and United Kingdom are the official places where Cricut supports Cricut Design Space 3 and or Cricut.com. And so this is where you can change. If you are Canadian and you haven't figured out how can you change so Cricut knows that you're in Canada, this is where you would do that, or the United Kingdom. I'm going to leave mine on United States because that's where I'm located. There is also a help button here, and this takes you to the Cricut help screen. Okay, there's tons of information out here. You can type in different things up here where it says how can we help you today, and then it'll pop up information for you. So that is very helpful to have, and you definitely want to be able to get to that. And I'm trying to figure out how do I get out of it. It's not letting me get out of it from this screen, so bear with me a second. Okay, so that was basically where everything was located for the home screen. And for whatever reason, it's not letting me get out of the help screen at the moment, so I'm going to have to figure that out. But that gives you an idea of what's underneath that home screen feature on your Design Space 3. Lesson 4, we're going to start reviewing specific features in Design Space.